So, for anyone who's new, on Mondays we read from the Radiance Sutras. This is the Radiance Sutras. It's a translation of the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra by Lauren Roche. That's Lauren. He's awesome. And so I'm going to read a stanza, but I really feel called to tell you about what's rolling through my mind these days and what's rolling through my consciousness. And specifically, it's funny, Katie, when you mentioned doing the Kriya this morning, I was doing my yoga Kriya this morning, and it just kept flooding into me, which was like, oh, I've gotta share this. So we've been doing the talks about looking at the chakras so differently and looking at them from expanding the perfection of the chakras, and not just focusing on the dysfunction. Right? We often look at, how do I get over the fact, like, so even for example, so I'm moving, and like we said, it's a first chakra question. It unsettles us from the first chakra. Our thought process has always been on the challenges of the first chakra, right? How that affects me negatively, how that affects my ability to feel grounded, how it affects my ability to feel like I belong, or that I'm part of a community, or that I have safety and I have shelter. We've lived in such a difficult world for millennia. It's almost our entire filter is what can go wrong, or how will this affect me on a dysfunctional way? How can this throw me off? But you imagine instead that it's almost like imagine this stimulates my first chakra instead. Like, what if that's what change does? What if it stimulates me, unsettles it, shakes it up, and it causes me to actually seek the abundance of life? That it actually says, no, connect with the first chakra, connect with the earth energy. The world has made some changes up here in that 3D manifestation, but on the earth, I'm still here. Right? I am manifest on this planet. I exist. I am part of Mother Nature. I will always have food and shelter somewhere. And how abundant is that? How amazing is that? And this is a constant reframe for me right now. It's almost, it doesn't matter what I do, the old program clicks in, and then I look at it and I'm like, well, that's not true. So for example, in my current yoga teacher training, which I am going to offer again, I'm not trying to sell that to you, but as my phone starts to ring, the Kriya this week, in Kundalini Yoga, everything's in Kriyas, right? The cleanses, there are things that, see, even listen to that. The word is to cleanse. That Kriya means cleanse. Assuming dysfunction, assuming that I have stuff attached to me that I don't want, and I need the Kriya to let it all go, right? So the Kriya this week is called the stress set for adrenals and kidneys. And historically, we would always talk about, well, we're doing this because we hold so much fear in the kidneys and we struggle with flow and all this kind of thing in the second chakra, and that our adrenals are burned out because we're just constantly in fight or flight. This is how we've always talked about the adrenals and kidneys and kriyas in yoga, in spiritual communities. So we need to heal the kidneys, heal the adrenals, heal the second chakra. And from the second I started developing the lesson for this, not this, but for that Kriya, all I kept thinking was, no, we're expanding the capacity of the kidneys. We're expanding our ability to flow. This yoga isn't about just cleansing or fixing what's wrong. It's about empowering the kidneys to say, how much flow, how much breadth of emotion Can I experience? Can I experience extreme sadness? Can I experience extreme ecstasy? Can I experience anger? Can I experience grief? Can I experience, like, what is the breadth of my ability to experience emotion? And that what if that's why we're doing the yoga? That we're expanding ourselves, and that we're strengthening our adrenals. We're actually empowering ourselves to make different choices. That when our kidneys experience something in the world, in flow, in emotional truth, our adrenals take action, right? That it's not all, like, even fight or flight. Everything's about fight or flight. Everything's about danger. All these things. It's like, what if the adrenals also respond to excitement? That I'm going to do this. And it's like that adrenaline rush, right? Adrenaline rushes aren't only with danger, it's also with sheer excitement. And so this morning I was doing this Kriya, and of course it's all this breath of fire, and it's like stimulating everything from the inside. And all I kept thinking about was, what if our journey now in 2022 isn't about healing? Because again, when we focus on healing, it's like we're focusing on what's wrong with us. And we're trying to find the things that will help us fix what's wrong with us. And maybe this is really valuable, and maybe it has been really valuable, and maybe it's still really important as part of the whole. But what if the consciousness really is shifting? What if it's changing at such a rate that the key is to go inside and find the things we love and just expand them. But the expansion, it requires doing. So for example, my sister, she loves animals, right? Just loves animals, has since she was little. And she'd had this idea for quite some time that she wanted to help out at a shelter. She wanted to help out doing something. And so she had this idea. And what's really interesting is sometimes we kind of sit in our world, like I have all these ideas. Well, I love animals, and I love this, and I love that, and I love this. But the key to actually expanding ourselves as a human is to take that and do it. Like, make it happen. Like, there's no reason to have an idea unless we're going to respond to it. So my sister has been now volunteering at a shelter north of Toronto for 3 years. And you might have, actually, they have a TV show or something called Dog Tales, and it's a really, really neat place. And every time she goes, it expands her spirit in ways that are indescribable. But it changes her every time she does it. Every time she goes there and has a cuddle shift or a walking shift or talks to the people or sees the new dogs or the horses or the pigs or whatever it is she's playing with that day, it expands her. And there's something about focusing on what's beautiful inside. And again, I know that we talk about this. We've talked about this in spiritual communities for 40 years, but it's not just about focusing on the positive. It's almost like we could have all kinds of dysfunction in our lives, right? We can have, difficult relationships and difficult problems with our money or kids or whatever. And we can go to counseling and we can try to fix the things. But if we actually just simply do the things inside, we actually just, whatever those things are, we just do those things and they start expanding, everything that isn't working will either shift or disappear, right? We'll either develop such a deep knowing inside of us that we find the words to make the changes and have the conversations, or I think that's my absolute focus these days or it's not even a focus, it's just every single thing that comes up, it's like, well, we can focus on what's wrong. But if we just simply expand from the inside, it's kind of like Abraham Hicks when they talk about, getting on your high-flying disc, right? You can be chewing about the problem over here, but the answer isn't here. The answer isn't in the weeds. You have to get into the vortex to actually find the answer. And how do we get into the vortex? Do things that we love. Not just know that we love things, but do things we love. Like we have to manifest, we have to do the things, we have to take the art class, we have to learn to dance, we have to go to the beach, we have to swim in the ocean, we have to do the things. That's what gets us into the vortex. And then answers come. And anyway, so this is like, it's just been this, it's like this evolving thing inside of me right now that it's almost like every single spiritual teaching we've ever heard, it's like taking away all the idea that there's something broken within me, that what I really just need to do is take all the good stuff and just physically grow it on the earth. And magical things happen. It's like even if you've ever wanted to write a book, whether it's a book for other people or just a book for you, there's something about just doing it. Just sitting down and starting to write or dictating it or however it is you manifest words and just enjoying the journey of it or expanding it. Like it's almost like the goal becomes the expansion instead of writing the book. And so this is what I was thinking about this morning before I picked up the Radiance Sutras to see what the sutra was for today. So our sutra today from the Radiance Sutras is number 104. I literally opened it up and this was the number for today. As I was just, I was thinking about all these things and I'm like, I have to share this. So if you have a book, it's 104. If you don't have a book, it's all good. And even if you have a book, I invite you to just close your eyes and see what your soul thinks of this. So let's just close our eyes for a minute. Let's just breathe. Forget about everything I just said or wherever that took you. And let's just breathe for a moment. Holiness permeates everywhere. Senses cannot grasp it. Images cannot represent it. It is totally free. Free to appear as form. Free to be beyond form. Heart and body and mind in unison. Attend to the unimaginable. In the intercourse of unknown and known, an awakening will be born in you as you join with that reality which you already are. Holiness permeates everywhere. Senses cannot grasp it. Images cannot represent it. It is totally free, free to appear as form, free to be beyond form. Heart and body and mind in unison. Attend to the unimaginable. In the intercourse of unknowable and known, an awakening will be born in you as you join with that reality which you already are. What stands out for you in that? When two opposites combine, like the known and the unknowable, amazing things happen. We will become aware of our own divinity. Yeah. We seek and seek, but we already have. We already are. Right? And it's so interesting because that's what makes me think about these thoughts that I've been having, that it's already all in here. Like whatever we're drawn to, whatever it is that, like we think of what we're passionate about, or what we love to do. Like, we say these words, but I don't think we take them seriously enough, right? That if I, like, we say things like, the world is about love, the energy of love, that this is so powerful. Then maybe the things that we love, the things that we are drawn to, the things that we are attracted to, it really is our path. You know, it really is right here. It's right here, right now. You know, and, you know, people are, you know, in Tantra, one of the teachings is that we have to be open to everything. And that gets misinterpreted, especially in a hypersexualized culture. That means that, oh, you have to be open to everything sexually, or else, you know, so they change it. But that's not what it is. That when we follow our heart and we want to take that step, we want to step into that, that we're open to that. We're open to trying it, which means we're willing to find the courage to step through the fear. We're willing to try that because we have faith, because we're connected, because we're whole. I don't know, to really have faith in the love that we have for something, or the passion we have for something, or that little voice inside that says, wouldn't you love to buy some cool pencils and sketch in a book? And you have more faith in that tiny little voice that says, I'd love to do this, than all the voices of the world that it's just so much noise, right? Oh, to have the blinders taken away. Yeah. I teach myself by listening to my inner self. Totally. My friend Alyssa, she considers all teachings from other people secondhand teachings. That the number one teaching comes from within. In the back of this book, he gives us a study, a word to study. And the word, our word for the day, is Bodhi, a Bodha, Bodha. And Bodha means knowing, or understanding, or awakening, or arousing. And the one definition, Sanskrit's so rich, right? Because it so depends on the context that the word is used in. But one of the definitions that I loved was exciting, in terms of exciting a perfume. So think of that in terms of what we're talking about. It's almost like, crushing an herb, and this excites what's inside and it releases its perfume, right? You crush the thing and it releases that perfume. Imagine that. Something inside of us is excited and the essence of us is released, right? Whatever that is. To just simply allow, I don't know, it's almost like the trapped joy inside to let out. And how do we know how to let it out? Through the things we love. Bodha also talks about the fleeting moments in life. Like, so for example, when we listen inside, what we hear in there is beyond description. Like when we have those moments that it's like the illusion just disappears and we're left with this presence. We're left with this awareness of bliss, right? This is also Bodha. These are those moments where we just, and he talks about how these can often be very fleeting. Like they are just moments, just little moments that happen in time. But when they happen, they touch us forever, like they change us forever. And he talks about that bliss is also a kind of shunya. Shunya is like the nothingness of Zen Buddhism, right? It's that there's a meditation that I have here on Insight Timer. I think it was the first meditation I ever did, and it's called the first one I ever did on Insight Timer. I think it's called Experiencing Oneness, a Tantric meditation to experience oneness. And part of how it works is when you look at the breath, and as you inhale, you are in the body, in the illusion. And then you come to this in-between place as the body shifts into exhale, right? This is shunya, the nothingness, the bliss. Then the body shifts gears and it exhales. And then it comes to the bottom and we enter shunya again as we shift gears to inhale. So we are constantly, with every breath, in between the inhale and the exhale, we enter that nothingness, the unknowable, the indescribable. And so this meditation, to actually sit with that and actually allow your body to inhale, sit in that shunya, and you can, that's why in yoga too, we'll elongate that shunya time. We'll suspend the breath, retain the breath. We're not holding the breath because that's still in the world of illusion. We simply go into it and we release ourselves to shunya. And then when we decide to, we exhale. Then we release ourselves to shunya. Then we inhale. Right? Every breath. Like all of us can do this all the time. And just enter into these little moments of bliss within every single breath. Right? Totally. The key is to let go of knowing anything. Absolutely. It's so funny, when we always hear stories of the wise man that says, the more I learn, the more I know I don't know, and all that kind of thing. But it's not that you don't know anything, but we know that we have to let go of what we think we know about the illusion to access the depth of what really is here. All these things we accumulate out in the world, they almost create a funny, weird mental cage. Everything must fit within this cage, or else it doesn't exist. But when we can release all those things that we are supposed to know, amazing things are possible. There's another thing I want to read to you guys. This is in the back of his book, where he gives us this interesting little contemplation meditation about the word Bodha. The last word of this verse is Bodhisambhava, a beautiful mantra to use as a reminder. Bodha meaning blossoming, awakening, arousing. Sambhava meaning together, coming together, union, intercourse, sexual intercourse, acquaintance, and intimacy. So Bodhisambhava means to come into intimacy with pure consciousness. To come into intimacy with pure consciousness. Heart and body and mind in unison. Attend to the unimaginable. Attend to the unimaginable. In the intercourse of unknowable and known, an awakening will be born in you as you join with that reality which you already are. In the intercourse of unknowable and known. Imagine this. Even if you imagine this, like in intimacy, in sexual intimacy, imagine the unknowable and the known making love, dancing together, playing, understanding, joining the unknowable and the known. In the intercourse of unknowable and known, an awakening will be born in you as you join with that reality which you already are. Isn't that what life is, that intercourse? Totally. And that's why it's always interesting, when people ask if they can study Tantra without a partner. And it's you should practice Tantra without a partner. You should practice Tantra with everything, with all of your inner emotions and with your hopes and dreams and with the sky and the clouds and the ocean. That's the wholeness, I don't know. And again, I genuinely believe that things are changing in the world. And I don't even just mean the earth. I think it's changing in the cosmos. I think it's too small to imagine it's just here on earth. But it's my experience of the world is it's almost like if I pay attention, there's a new vibration. The words are all so overused, but it's I can wake up in the morning and I can play today the way I always have, a new frequency, right? I can play yesterday again, and it was a good day. I like my life. But if I'm really careful, I can feel there's a new awareness today. And everything looks just slightly different. And so it's really, and it's funny, right? If you think about it in this intercourse idea, right? It's literally like having a new lover every day. And you wake up and you go, who are you? What are you all about? What's this about? And because it's new, it asks me to find different aspects of me to explore. It's very present right now. I think that's why I'm so intrigued with the idea of simply expanding from that absolute whole truth that lives within every one of us. To really understand that none of us are broken. None of us. We have programs set up to protect ourselves from a crazy world, yeah. But inside we are all perfection. And all we have to do is almost take that perfection, listen to the day, and just have intercourse. Right? Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you soon.